This video features historical and religious artwork that may include classical depictions of nudity. These images are presented solely for educational, artistic, and documentary purposes within their historical and theological context. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back to Faith and Heresy, where lost rites and forbidden beliefs rise again from the ashes of history. You think you know the Spartans, bronze shields, crimson cloaks, a phalanx of men bred for war, but the discipline beyond the blades was spiritual. A spiritual machine, ruthless, mystical, and unbreakable. They didn't march without omens, they didn't eat without rituals, and they didn't fight unless the gods permitted it. But what happened when those gods are betrayed? When gold buys prophecy and the divine orders collapses? Today we unveil the forbidden faith of the Spartans, and how its priests and prophecies ruled the battlefield until corruption shattered the sacred. The Spartan Pantheon, gods of the phalanx. Sparta worshipped many gods, but not like Athens and not like Rome. To the Spartans, the divine wasn't philosophical, it was absolute, demanding, war-bound. At the centre stood Apollo, god of prophecy and plague. His oracle at Delphi was the final word in all things. Then Artemis Orthia, goddess of the hunt, youth and pain. Boys in the Agoge were whipped before her altar, bleeding as a form of devotion. And Ares, god of war? In Sparta he was honoured, but restrained. War was sacred, never chaotic. Also venerated Castor and Pollux, the twin horsemen, Zeus, protector of the Spartan kings, and Athena of strategy and strength. To be Spartan was not to believe in the gods, it was to serve them without question. Sorry to interrupt your video. If you could just take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, it really does help with the channel. Thanks for watching. Back to the video. Ritual in life and death. In Sparta, every action was ritual. Every war march, every meal, every decision. Before battle, seers performed sacrifices and omen readings, often using the entrails of animals. A single dark spot on a liver, the army turned back. A falcon flying east, the gods had spoken. March. Even the Carnia festival, held in honour of Apollo, was so sacred that Sparta once refused to fight the Persians at Thermopylae until the rites were completed. This wasn't superstition, this was law. Seers and signs, the divine chain of command. Spartan generals didn't command, they obeyed. The seers, known as mantes, were true voices of authority. Armed with ritual tools and sacred training, these men interpreted the will of the gods. Thunder in the wrong season, cancel the campaign. A lunar eclipse, delay the harvest. The seer's word could override kings. Even Leonidas waited for signs before standing at Thermopylae. Without divine sanction, even valour is treason, but that sacred obedience had a dark side, the Agoge, spiritual brutality. The Agoge was not just a military school, it was a theological crucible. Boys were starved to teach sacrifice, beaten to forge discipline, forced to steal to learn survival, then punished for being caught to learn discretion. Before they could become soldiers, they were broken and rebuilt in the image of the gods, especially Artemis Orthia, whose cult centered on discipline, control, and pain. The hidden cults, Sparta's secret gods. But beyond Apollo and Artemis, beyond the blood and bronze, Sparta had secret cults so dark even other Greeks whispered about them. Like the Crypteia, a shadowy rite of passage where elite Spartan youths were sent to stalk and kill helots, the enslaved population. Some ancient sources like Plutarch claimed this ritual served both as psychological hardening and population control. And it wasn't random violence, it was carried out in honour of Artemis Orthia, the huntress, goddess of war and wilderness, to whom nocturnal hunts were sacred. Then there were the Dioscuri, Castor and Apollo. To most Greeks they were demigods, to Spartans they were ancestral heroes, born in nearby Therapne. Their cult was so strong that Spartan kings claimed descent from them. And in the chaos of war, some warriors swore the twin horsemen rode beside them into battle. Most chilling of all, the hero cult of Lycurgus, the lawgiver of Sparta. No one truly knew when or if he died. His tomb was revered, but some claim it was empty. To Spartans, his laws were not just tradition, they were divine command. And worshipping Lycurgus wasn't taboo, it was state orthodoxy. This wasn't just religion, this was psychological warfare against their enemies, and against doubt itself. But when gold outshone the gods, even the darkest faith began to fade. The prophecy crisis, when the gods were bought. In the 5th century BCE, a shadow fell across the sacred order. As Persia prepared to invade Greece, they knew one thing: control the oracle, and you control Sparta. Delphi, the beating heart of Greek divination, was compromised. Persian gold flowed like wine, prophecies began to shift to favour surrender. Even Spartan seers, once incorruptible, began to tilt. Their omens changed, their guidance wavered, what had been divine became political. When the gods can be bought, the sacred becomes strategy, and the price, Sparta's divine advantage, gone. The Roman reflection. Centuries later, Rome rose, and they looked back at Sparta with cold admiration and deeper pity. Rome writers praised Spartan discipline, but mocked their blind obedience to prophecy. To Rome, law should be flexible. To Sparta, divine order was unbreakable. But that rigidity cracked under pressure. And in the Roman age, Sparta became a tourist relic, famous for a past it could no longer live. There were god warriors once, but even gods abandoned the corrupt. Sparta's spiritual engine, broken by gold. Sparta was not just a military state, it was a temple, one that walked on 2 legs and carried a shield. Their gods were real to them. Their rituals, laws, their priests, commanders. But when prophecy was corrupted, the engine failed, and without the gods, even the greatest warriors fall. So, what do you think? Was Sparta's religion its strength or its curse? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Faith and Heresy for weekly dives into lost faiths, forbidden rituals, and heretical stories. Sources in the description. Follow them if you dare. Until next time, stay curious, question everything. Thanks for watching.